to today's class on Shmiras HaLashon. In today's class, we will be investigating the cause of Lashon Hara, that is reckless. He doesn't use the word reckless. He says, to me, I think reckless is an equivalent translation of what he says. He says we're going to explain Lashon Hara that comes through what is done in abandonment, right? So Masha Nasa behefker. Things are done without claiming any responsibility for it or ownership of it. And then the other word he uses is yeush, and things that are sort of forlorn and forgotten. Yeush usually comes in the sentence that I had an object and I no longer care for my ownership over it, and so therefore, if someone else takes it, I would not believe that they are taking something or depriving me of something. Hefker means that I'm actively making it ownerless. So just to give you an idea of what we're talking about, I think reckless is probably the best way to describe it. Plus, it kind of reminds me of Top Gun a little bit, where Iceman, in the beginning of the movie, where they are all flying, he goes, "You're reckless, Maverick," which is a great explanation of what this is done. He's doing it without any abandon. It's completely self-centered, self-motivating. So let's move right in over here. Okay, so and we talked a little bit about those 7 detractors 2 chapters ago, and we finished off discussing the first 3 and the last 4, and now we're going to move on to those things that come as a result of despairing from things happening to you. So what does this mean to involve yourself in yeush with Lashon Hara? So what are you convincing yourself of? So the Chafetz Chaim says that one's inclination, most likely an evil one, they are enticed into believing that the only way that they can be set apart from anybody else, okay, is to be set apart from anything in this world. Okay? So you can't do this. You have to basically, in order to be part of the world, you have to separate yourself from things in the world, and you can't exist in isolation. So how do they validate this? They say there's a Gemara. Gemara is in Bava Basra. It's in 165a, and it says everyone is guilty of Lashon Hara, and therefore they say, well, I just do Lashon Hara, and they don't bother working on it. So that's what he's saying. He's that it seems like an unattainable goal. This is really important over here. This isn't. It's not that they don't believe that things are important. It's that they believe that this level of behavior is unattainable. This is a mistake, says the Chafetz Chaim. Because if that was the case, why is the Torah giving me this as a prohibition? It should be known and understood that the Holy One, blessed be He, is not coming to try to be a despot. Okay, it's not to be despotic. The word he uses over here is a Greek word, bitronia. Okay, and so that word basically means like someone who is tyrant. It comes from the Latin word for tyrant. Okay, and we're probably the Greek word actually, probably the Greek word. It's a tyranny. So you don't want to be despotic, basically. And so the Torah should have said this as a way of improving your behaviors. All the other good and holy behaviors that we've talked about. And there are certain people that have those types of behaviors. But really what was happening is that every single person in Israel, every single Jewish person, if they just take a look at how they conduct themselves, they could be more careful about this. And we say this in the Sifri. It's a Sifri in Ha'azinu, so that's Deuteronomy, Devarim 32:4. So we call God the faithful one with no blemishes. So what does it say over there? He didn't create people, Hashem didn't create people to be bad. He created them to be good, do right things, okay? Because otherwise, they would just constantly be beaten down with punishments. That's not the point. And we say in Koheles, also this is chapter 7, verse 29, that God made all people to be upright, be upstanding citizens. Okay, and they make their own accountings for what they do. And it's also further echoed in another midrash. Okay, it says the same thing, that God made you upright. He didn't create you that you should be a person who was downtrodden all the time. But you're not going to be able to be called righteous and upright all the time. You are created to be that person. Okay, so why did you then make the Medrash asks the question? Why did you make an inclination in us that makes us do bad things? Okay, because it says in the Parshas Bereshis, right, in the very beginning there, 8:21. What does he tell Cain? He tells him, for the heart of a person tilts towards the bad things from youth. So you say he's bad. Why expect him to do good? So Hashem is really saying the following: you do the bad. You were once a child and you did nothing wrong. And you got older, and then you did bad things, right? So as you get older and older, you need to learn how to manage your behaviors, because Hashem gives the possibility and the potential in every person to make good decisions. And these things in you that make you want to make bad decisions, are there to help you. Are there to help you make the good decisions. Okay. So meaning that you have the ability, and he says after that, atatim shalbo, you can make those determinations. Okay, so even though it says that the inclinations be bad, you can rule over it. He says the Cain again as well. Okay, and we also say that there's a proverb that says in 29:21 that a young person is able to overcome their bad behaviors. Okay, and he can't become a servant to his indulgences. So there's a lot to be learned from expanding upon this comment to comment on these verses. However, what we should know is the following: there's a lot of difficult things in this world, okay, that are even worse than those inclinations we feel that are bad, and the bad things that can come from them, which we've mentioned. And we can sweeten those experiences. So it's not like it's created bitter, like certain bitter foods. And it's not, and if you take those certain bitter foods, okay, and you cook them for a long time, it sweetens them. Okay, and so therefore, if you go ahead and make the effort to improve things, okay, things will become better. Same thing too with other fruits. So specifically like fruits like mustard and caper, the more you act on them, the more influence you have on them, the sweeter they'll become. And so too is our experience with these behaviors. That if a person takes heed to how his eyes and heart conduct his actions, and he pays attention to the way in which he opens his mouth and doesn't open it without some type of premonition, okay, giving it some pre-thought. And you also shouldn't say nasty and violent things. So for sure, you're not going to be missing out on this behavior. And a person who wants to purify themselves, God helps them. And this is the statement of the rabbis of the Talmud. That's because I'll say that if a person wants to be a tzaddik, Hashem will help him be a tzaddik. And he'll even give him an angel. And the angel will help him find the way to being more righteous and more religious. And if a person wishes to be more kind, he gets the help to be more kind. He didn't quote a source there, but here he goes. And that's really what they're saying in that statement. And Baba Basra mentioned earlier that even though everybody is being dragged down by Lashon Hara, we say there that, is it really Lashon Hara? Is that what you really thought? Really, what you're saying is things that look like Lashon Hara. So even the things that look like Lashon Hara, it's explained the following way in the words of the Maharsha, commentary on that Talmud. He says that if a person takes a look at what he does and what he feels and applies that to what he says, and he then takes note of how that impacts his behavior. So yeah, a lot of people would make the mistake of being dragged into Lashon Hara. And it's not like being dragged into other sins like theft or illicit relations. That if a person were to just kind of sail through life, and nonetheless, you could still feel that these things wouldn't occur to you naturally. Okay? But the one thing that could occur to you naturally is Lashon Hara, because you're always talking. But that's not to say that a person is always going to say the wrong thing. Rather, what they're saying is that you should try to be careful from even the smallest things that look in the slightest way like Lashon Hara. Okay? And we said a lot about this in our introduction. Okay, which it's when you think about it, it's been months already since we talked about this whole idea about how careful we need to be about Lashon Hara. And anything that could seem to be saying, even the slightest inkling to lead somebody to think something bad about another person. This is all such good advice as we come near to Pesach and our upcoming social interactions. Very true. Now, let's take a look at the habituation of becoming not aware, okay, of not wanting to be careful, where we make things hefker. We just want things to basically be unattended. Okay, we want it to grow wild like the grasses in the fields. Okay. No one's gonna mow. So we see a lot of people that they leave it to just get out of control, kind of like weeds and grasses and so on, and that's because of our great many sins. And they don't think this is important at all. And what they're saying is that people, as a result of not being careful, have weakened its observance. So here's the advice. A person should take the following thing to heart. If, God forbid, you were not feeling well, and the people in your city are saying that you have one of the great sicknesses, God forbid, but that's what you have, and all the doctors in the city were coming to your attention, and they're going to give you all types of advice about different treatments and pills and other things and all types of prescriptions. And then all of a sudden you hear the best doctor is coming, right? The best doctor's coming to town. And there's no other doctor like this doctor. And they bring him into this guy, and he brings this guy to say, I'm going to bring you back to full health. You're not going to see any remnants of this illness. And if you didn't go to that doctor immediately, and have him give you your full inspection, not your inspection, but your full consultation or evaluation, right? It didn't come to see the doctor, didn't meet with you. It would be like leaving you on your deathbed. So what else would help you get better from your sickness? So it has to be that you've requested, or somebody from your family has requested that they meet with you. So, why are they taking more action than anybody else? So the answer to that would be, the person is the dumbest person in the world who wouldn't take advantage of having the greatest doctor in the world to help him get better. No matter what you think you were looking for and how you were thinking you rely on others to take care of you, that the same thing is with this doctor, that we realize that you need to make the greatest effort to connect with the great doctor. And we know that he's going to help you get better. Okay? And therefore, the main thing is that you stick to the guy who is recognized as the greatest doctor and healthcare practitioner that you could find, and especially to take care of your very difficult illness. And if you were to basically be completely reckless with your life and not take care of it, but rather act like some crazy person who doesn't think that their life has any value, how would anybody take care of you? Because you're not you yourself don't value your own life. And if this were the main thing that you focus on in terms of caring for your body, so how much more so with caring for the soul, that you would say, how's it possible that there could be any way to take care of the bad things that I say, and I could benefit by doing this into the great afterlife, but it's not what I'm going to do. We even see it even says in Tehillim, who is the one who values life? The one who guards their tongue. What we're saying is, who is the doctor, the best doctor, the most trusted one, more so than all the other ones? And the greatest doctor for helping us in this situation is David HaMelech, King David. Okay? And so the opposite is that if the doctor doesn't have a cure, a steadfast cure for what ails you, so not only will it affect you in the next world, it'll affect you in this one as well. And what's going to happen is you're going to experience all types of unfortunate calamities that it's just going to be bad for you here. And we quoted this earlier in the name of the Midrash. And so that's why you should be so careful, not only for you, but of other people around you as well. Okay. That was actually a little bit shorter than I thought. That was actually a little bit longer. So that was the end of that section. Okay. Okay, so we are, we'll come back next time. We're talking about complaining, but we will hold it here. I thought the section was a little bit longer, but go figure. So usually I look at it, I scope it ahead of time, and it's usually a little bit longer. The next section is a little bit longer. So this section was shorter. But anyway, what we learned from here is don't despair, and don't treat other people's feelings like they're not meaningful. Instead, take them with utter seriousness, value them, treat them correctly, and learn how to value your own self as a result of it. We will meet up again next time in Avos Chesed. Thank you very much for coming.